Again, like I said before, it takes a lot to come out here to get in front of people and paint. So again, we like to give them a round of applause for that, for just coming out here and just putting themselves out here. So if you don't know the rules, right, there's 3 rounds, there's 2 prelim rounds of 6 artists, 20 minutes blank canvas. After the second round, you'll have a chance to vote for who you want to advance to the finals. When you came in, you should have got a text link. If you didn't get a text link, then go back to the front desk and you should get one. Again, that's how you will vote, but that's also how you will bid for these paintings when they enter the auction. So each painting will enter a silent auction where you'll get to bid as well too, and they'll be on display at the table back there where all the photos at. So let me introduce our first rounders, right? So we let's see, we start with them. All right, we got Jeffrey Garrett. Canvas 2, we have Jennifer Young. Canvas 3, we have Tara Pierce. Canvas 4, we have Howard. On Canvas 5, we have Terrence Larkin. And on Canvas 6, we have Madeline. So artists, when the paintbrushes go up, they go up. What we like to do is a 10-second count. When we get to 1, the painters will start. We also keep time, so I need someone to keep time. Who can be our timer? Somebody want to use their phone and be our timer? You want to set your phone? Set it for 20 minutes. 20 minutes? So every 5 minutes, we'll notify y'all how much time you got left. And then we get to 10 seconds, we'll do a countdown, okay? So y'all ready for our battle to start? I can't hear y'all. Are y'all ready for our battle to start? All right. All right, artists, brushes up. Brushes up. And let's start the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Feel free to get up, feel free to walk around, record, and take photos.
All right, we have just begun Art Battle in Omaha, our very first round. Welcome everyone. Tonight is going to be a super fun night of live competitive painting. We have 12 artists set to compete for you tonight. 2 rounds of 6. We are with our first 6 now. They'll have 20 minutes on the clock to go from blank canvas to incredible masterpiece right in front of your eyes. And you guys have the tough job of voting for which artist you think is best. So go to artbattle.com/AB2427 and that is where you will vote for your favorite artists to move on. Here we are with Jennifer Young, and Jennifer has quite a lot of paint going on the canvas already. Got that nice swath of that yellow coming through, and then we're getting some really rapid brushwork, getting lots of black in there. And I feel like potentially we're going to be seeing a portrait from Jennifer, but I know that we've seen a lot of kind of abstracted landscapes from her before, so looking forward to seeing how this piece comes together. Over here with Tara Pierce, And Tara describes herself as someone who is inspired by graffiti, but is not a graffiti artist. So she's inspired by old school graffiti, and looks like she is painting a shoe. So she's actually got the drawing of that shoe down really, really quickly. We're not even 2 minutes into the round right now, and we can see that she has that initial drawing, and now she's already going in with the paint. So very quick work from Tara there, and I'm sure that that will be a great way to set her up for the rest of the round for sure. Heading in with some purple now, I think. Always a color combo that I like, that kind of getting a bit of warmth from the purple, leaning into red, and then right up against the blue. Over here with Howard Thiel. And Howard has painted quite a few times in Art Battle before, and is always an absolute pleasure to watch create. He always creates these really beautiful, emotive portraits, and it looks like we're actually getting some observance from life here. Something that I always appreciate from Howard is that he works with a lot of dry brushing, so it often comes out in the beginning looking like a little bit more like drawing, as if it's coming from pastel, and I always think that that is an interesting technique there. And here we are with Terrence Larkin. And this piece is definitely coming together very, very quickly. And we have definitely this praying mantis taking up most of the canvas here. And I have to congratulate Terrence on the level of detail and execution that he's gotten done so far in just about 4 minutes. He has the whole body of this mantis figured out and roughed in, and now he's starting to go into the details and adding a little bit of contrast, a little bit of that outline. And this is an interesting angle as well. Now we've been starting to get into some flowers at the bottom, working super quick. And loving that shirt. We can see what Terrence's Instagram is right away. IG Artstar77. Checking out the way that this line work is coming together. I like the way in the first initial strokes it was starting to blend in quite a lot. Here with Madeline Hake. And Madeline is definitely one of the artists to watch tonight. She has been a multi-event finalist and never disappoints with her compositions. She does these really just beautiful, emotive female portraits, and that's definitely what we're being treated here to tonight. We can see that she's got most of the figure drawn out, and we're getting into the features now as well. And it's fun watching the way that she bounces between different parts of the piece. Often we're seeing artists that they concentrate on one singular area and then move on, but we can see actually Madeline is kind of bouncing between different points, just checking her reference and bringing contrast in where she needs it. I think that's a pretty safe battle strategy and smart battle strategy, because it means that she's using one color at a time as opposed to using multiple colors in a small area and switching and switching and switching and switching. She's taking care of all of the purple elements first and then all of the red elements. And now we can see her reference here as well. Getting into that red, and she's using pastel tonight as well. Okay, Jeffrey. So I was really excited checking out Jeffrey's work when we were scheduling the artists and doing our artist research before the stream. And in his studio work, Jeffrey often will be using blacklight paint. And I was thinking, how would that be possible at Art Battle? But he's made it possible for us by providing his own blacklight. Looks like he's actually wearing it and is using this blacklight paint. So we're getting this really unique experience right now of having the illumination of this paint happening while it's being painted. And even just seeing him blowing the paint and using gravity and fanning the canvas as well. There's a lot of different techniques being employed there. And he's really working hard to move that paint around the canvas in a way that's quite organic. I feel like I'm starting to see the beginnings of an eye coming together. Over here with Jennifer, and definitely getting a portrait. Really actually like the way that Jennifer's bringing in this kind of rosy hue and just fanning that into the yellow that's already been established. It's just really softening the saturation level of that yellow and bringing more visual interest to the field, as opposed to just doing that straight color field. And now we can see that she's also adding in little hits of, looks like a gray or a blue, just swirling around. And we have kind of this graphic element of the hair. The hair is very shape-based at this point. So we are just about halfway through the first round of Art Battle in Omaha. So make sure that you head to artbattle.com/AB2427 because voting is now open and the auction is live. So the top 2 artists from this round and the top 2 artists from our next qualifying round will move forward into a 4-artist final round, final showdown. So as you're watching right now, think about whose performance you're enjoying, which piece is singing to your heart the best, which piece are you connecting with, and who you want to see paint again in the final. Tara turning this classic Nike design on its head a little bit by adding these graphic drips, bringing a little bit more of that kind of graffiti, illustrative, cartoony energy over top of it, and this piece has a very specific attitude to it. And she's even getting in there, adding some highlights and adding these super tight details of the laces, the holes for the laces, the swoop on the back of the shoe. Back with Howard as well, and Howard definitely is painting from life. We can see that Howard is actually painting Tara and Jennifer. How cool is that? That's we've seen that a few times at Art Battle, and it's such a wonderful way to capture the energy of the night, and it really takes a special artist to be able to do that. And we're definitely seeing Howard accomplishing that tonight. We can even see, getting super meta here, that Howard has his own canvas, the corner of his own canvas, in the frame of this painting, and has the sketch out of Tara. Wow, that's awesome. I don't think I've ever seen that additional detail of the inclusion of the artist's own canvas in the perspective of the piece. So this is really interesting. I think that the audience is going to connect with this a lot as well. Now starting to establish some of the tones of the room, but definitely keeping more of the details and concentration on his characters, aka fellow painters, but getting some of this kind of sketchy energy going into the background just to kind of knock out some of that negative space there. With Terrence now, and this piece has become so much more interesting. We have the addition of some graffiti letters in here, and Terrence has been on the graph scene for really a long time and is quite well known. He was actually in an 80s graph crew called Scrib, and is definitely taking influence from all of that experience. I'm really enjoying the way that the claw of the mantis is actually interacting with the letters and going through the letters. Just looking at what that says. Is that WXR? And then house underneath. And again, he's bringing that purple where he's written house. He's mirroring the purple that he's using in the flowers up in the corner there. So bringing in different elements of the piece into harmony. Back with Madeline here. And the expression of this figure is so contemplative. And I think that Madeline is doing a really good job at capturing the energy of this figure. We can see just at the bottom of your screen here, just the littlest bit of her reference. And we can see that she's staying quite true to that. What I'm really liking is the negative space between the hand and the chin and the neck, that kind of little compartment there that now she's adding in a bit of that green. And Madeline has moved into paint as well. So it looks like she actually started off with paint to kind of create that initial color field and wash in the background of that purple and green color, and then did her initial drawing in pastel. And also that red is with pastel as well, and now she's switched back to paint. So really rocking that multimedia today. Back with Jeffrey and our exciting black light display. I had initially thought that we were going to be getting an eye, but I'm starting to see some elements of city buildings. And Jeffrey really likes to mix styles and has experience with murals, and also says that he likes to create a different piece of art every single day. So really is quite the prolific artist. So it doesn't surprise me seeing Jeffrey at Art Battle, because Art Battle tends to attract artists who love to paint. You know, we're not getting a lot of studio artists who are just totally completely isolating themselves. Jeffrey loves to paint, creates a lot, and is bringing that skill level and experience to the easel. Back with Jennifer here, and we're getting some typography being added into the hair. I really like this as a compositional vehicle for the text. Sometimes it can be tricky adding text into a painting because it really gives the audience an opportunity to focus on the recognition factor of each letter, and then they focus on the typography and the font and the correctness and cleanliness of the letters. But the way that Jennifer has situated these letters, she's working within this form, and so it's giving it more room to be stylized. And this is something that I'm really enjoying. And what do we have here? There is nothing more powerful than knowing your value. That's awesome. I wonder if Jennifer is a poet as well. Definitely getting that impression here from her. So we have just about 3 minutes remaining on the clock. And over with Tara again, and she's taking care of a lot of the negative space that she was contending with around the shoe. Spent the majority of her competition time creating this shoe and adding in all of the details and creating those sharp illustrative lines, and now has added in all of this yellowy gold color. Oh, I think it might actually be a gold metallic paint. It's difficult sometimes to catch that on camera, but I'm definitely seeing the shimmer. Very nice. And she's also flicked some of that black onto the gold as well. A great graphic quality with this piece. And we just got our 2-minute warning. So these artists have very little time to finish establishing their details. Hopefully they are so close to the finish line and are just now adding in those finishing touches. Back with Terrence, and Terrence has done just such a wonderful job of capturing the energy of the night and of his fellow artists. And we can see that the painting within the painting has advanced as well. And we now have the addition of Tara's blonde hair being represented on the canvas. This piece is so much fun. I'm sure that the audience is going to be surprised and delighted with this once they recognize what it is and that he's capturing the situation that he's in. I think that this is going to be a great piece to collect in the auction as well, because it really symbolizes the memory of the night. So head on over to artbattle.com/AB2427 to cast your vote. The top 2 artists from this round and the top 2 from our next qualifying round will be moving forward into the final. And voting is now open, so choose your favorite artist, and you can also bid at that link as well.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Versus now, let's go.
A fantastic job by our first round of artists for Art Battle Omaha. We had Jeffrey with that really fun and engaging blacklight piece, Jennifer with her poetry within the portrait. Right now we're looking at Madeline and her emotive female portrait. Terrence with his ability to capture the memory of the night by painting his fellow artists. Or sorry, that was Howard. And Terrence with that really different and contemporary take on the mantis mixed with graffiti. Some really cool pieces here tonight. And definitely it's going to be difficult for the audience to choose which artist they think is best, but that's your job. The link is on the screen for voting and auction. We will have another 6 artists stepping up to the easels in just a few minutes. We are going to have Stephen James Thornbury, Tristan Henry, Letitia Austin, Cassie Craig, Cynthia Zemento, and Anik. Stepping up to the easels in just a few minutes for round number 2, so stay tuned. We are just about to start round number 2 of Art Battle in Omaha. The artists are getting ready to step up to the easels, setting their palettes with fresh paint, and getting stoked to take on a new blank canvas. Round number 2 starting in just a few minutes. just started round number 2 of Art Battle in Omaha. So we have another 6 fresh artists up at the easels with fresh white canvases. And right now we are checking out Stephen James Thornbury. And Stephen describes his work as blending cartoon with surreal elements, lots of vivid color and texture as well. Looks like we're off to a good start with some symmetrical shapes in this kind of blended out purple color, almost like a lilac. And continuing in with the symmetry of these lines on top. Always interesting to see how artists begin their paintings in the first few seconds. I'm feeling like this may end up being an animal portrait just from the brushwork that Stephen was adding into there. And here we are with Tristan Herring. And Tristan describes his work as being abstract with cubist influence. So lots of color down on the canvas right now. We have this gorgeous cobalt blue going down. One of my favorite colors. I just really love the way that cobalt picks up light. And then he's adding in with the same brush that has that blue on it, this super electric green, like a chartreuse kind of color, and is blending over top with that. So definitely creating an interesting ground to be painting on top of, if that's the direction that he's going. Creating this kind of visual interest in the background and then potentially layering over top of that. We're seeing him going at decanting this super bright pink here. And I'm wondering if he's going in with the same brush and actually mixing on the palette with that initial blue. Getting that big swirl there as well, which is always nice. Here we are with Latricia Austin, and Latricia has quite a lot done at the easel already in just our first 2.5 minutes. She's got the establishment of a landscape painting. We can see the horizon line in the bottom third of the canvas, and then lots of movement going on with the sky. We've got kind of this orb of light coming through in the middle. And already I'm starting to get an impression of Latricia's work. Latricia describes her work as having a spiritual component, and I feel like the way that she's capturing the light in this piece is going to be communicating that as well, with this kind of glow happening. Getting some rolling hills in the front there, creating a very subtle tonal shift between these greens. Just getting that little touch of highlight on each of those hills, and just kind of differentiating the crest of one hill from the other. And here with Amia Stanfield. And we're getting lots of rapid brushwork happening here in this kind of cotton candy pink. I think that we're into portrait territory just with the way that this is starting to come together. I'm wondering if this is going to be some big pink hair. Getting some red thrown in there as well. And just dancing the brush across the canvas as she's creating these circular motions to really communicate those curls. We have just hit our 15-minute mark. The first 5 minutes of the second round in Art Battle Omaha have elapsed, and these artists have 15 minutes remaining on the clock. If you want to check out the paintings that were created in round number 1 and you're just joining the stream, head over to the link that's on the screen, artbattle.com/AB2427. Another portrait going with Cynthia Zermano, and lots of green on the canvas here. We don't often see portraits incorporating green because that can be kind of a bit of a challenge to work with that color against different skin tones, but looks like Cynthia's doing a great job here. We've got kind of the establishment of all of these different lines playing together in the background, different greens, phthalo, yellow. And here we are with Anik Clark, and Anik is an art student and one of the artists that I was very excited to see tonight. She paints lots of portraits, and looks like we're getting a really whimsical portrait here. I think that this is a person who's wearing a face mask, like taking care of your skin kind of face mask, skincare. Very funny. I don't think I've ever seen that in Art Battle before. And we've got a hair covering on top, potentially a towel. Spinning is all about self-care. And back to Steven here, and I was correct, we are getting an animal portrait. Looks like he is throwing down an owl or potentially an eagle. We're getting a lot of great movement and texture going in through these feathers. I think it's going to be an owl, just from the way that the feathers are kind of fanning out in this circular motion around where he's established the eyes. Steven often incorporates surreal elements into his pieces as well, so looking forward to seeing if any of those kind of creep into this piece. We have a little bit of surrealty here with the color palette being totally unconventional for any kind of recognizable owl that we would find in the real world. We have almost like a Cheshire cat color palette going on with these hot pink and purple stripes happening in the foliage. Back with Tristan here, and we can see that Tristan has established the background and is now doing something super interesting in the center. It looks like we're getting a portrait here, but the top of the head is cut off and looks like a black hole almost. This is super stylized and I'm really into it. I like the way that he's establishing the facial features in this very curvy way and standing out as individual features, like the nose isn't necessarily blending into the face. And getting some of that color going into the eyes as well. Back with Latricia here. And we're now getting a river cutting through this hilly landscape, just really bringing us into this environment. I always love seeing landscapes that incorporate some sort of focal point in the foreground. Often a lot of the action is happening at the horizon line or in the sky, but I think that Latricia is doing a good job here by introducing that river in the foreground and really helping the viewer's eye to come inward. Oh, it's not a river. It's actually going to be a figure looking up to the sky. Very cool. Did not expect that at all. And back with Amia here. And this hair is just coming together so wonderfully. It's so bouncy and thick and textural, and there's so many buttery colors running through it. I really like the way that she's incorporated the white for highlight, and then we have the lower tones of those red swirls, and the way that it's starting to obscure the face a little bit as well. We're at about the halfway minute mark, or at the halfway point in the round, so I'm wondering whether or not Amia is going to go into that face and create features within that as well, or if she's going to continue to keep the hair being the focal point. Right now we're seeing her starting to go in a little bit with some darker color to create those points of contrast and help the face come forward a little bit. Back with Cynthia here, and I gotta say, I'm all about the addition of these graphic lines. I am a big fan of using the clothing on portraits that are being painted to add elements of interest. Often artists are imbuing the face with all of the interest, but I feel like there's always so much opportunity for the clothing to speak and to act as a design element as well. And so I definitely am excited about the way that Cynthia is approaching this turtleneck. We're getting that kind of graphic quality with those blue lines there, mimicking a skeleton a little bit in some ways as well. And we can see that Cynthia is now starting to add some eyes in as well, getting into the features of the face. And she switched pencil over top of that wash of initial skin tone that she put down. So I'm wondering if there's any challenge with the graphite on top of that wet paint. And back with Anik here. And this piece is just continuing to be so much fun. We have a cell phone, a vintage cell phone in the hand of our character here. Looks like she's smoking a joint while doing a face mask, and we have these exaggerated lashes and these pointed fingernails. This piece is just so much fun. I think that the audience is really going to respond to this piece and feel very connected to it as well. And then of course the eyes are have been colored with a little bit of pink now as well, to show that kind of bloodshot eye quality. I always really enjoy a high level of stylization in portraits as well, and that often can be evident just simply in the line work that the artist chooses. And I think that Anik is doing great things with this line work, bringing in this contrast and using different weights of line to communicate different parts of the piece. And it seems like her style is incorporating different curves, but also each curve kind of ends in a sharp tail, which just speaks to the artist's hand. And when I talk about the artist's hand, what I mean is being able to have that recognizable element just from checking out the lines that an artist makes. You know that it's their line. Back with Steven here, and this piece is getting more and more textural by the minute. I'm into it. And we have the bird eye here as well, with these green irises and linear pupils, also applied in a very textural way. I think that the feathers being used as a compositional component that kind of reaches towards each corner of the canvas is really smart, because it gives him an opportunity to take up the rest of the canvas with all of this texture and bring all of that focus just into the main features of the bird. So we don't necessarily need to get into a background color as he's expanding all of these feathers outward. So we've got about 5 minutes remaining on the clock for these artists. They are now into their fourth quarter of their live painting time, and everyone is just starting to add in their final flourishes. Tristan is very performative in the way that he's painting, which is something that I always really appreciate at Art Battle, and I know that the audience loves to connect with. And now we see that Tristan is using this metallic paint, and I think that he's drawing flowers. I think that the portrait here is like a flower pot head. Very cool. And we have some of these kind of cubist elements of unexpected execution of the facial features, keeping them very simplified. Back over with Latricia here, and we can see that she's working into this figure. And I'm wondering if she's going to be keeping the figure within the same tones that are in the hills. I think that she might potentially be struggling a little bit working on such a wet ground, but I could be wrong. She could be intentionally keeping the figure almost like translucent, making sure that she's keeping all of those tones within the figure, because it is feeling quite spectral right now. Almost more like a spirit than a person. Getting into our final 3 minutes here. Voting is open. Go to artbattle.com/AB2427 to cast your vote. The top 2 artists from our first round and the top 2 artists from this round will be moving forward to a 4-artist final showdown. So voting wise, think about which piece communicates to you the best visually, but also who you enjoyed watching paint the most, because that person could be painting again in the final and you might have an opportunity to see how they work yet again. So Amia has chosen to leave the face on this figure quite vague, which I actually think is a really good design choice because it keeps the focus on all of that sumptuous hair that she created. Back with Cynthia here, and I'm really appreciating the graphic treatment of this piece. I like that it's very minimal and based in all of these sharp lines. I especially like the way that she's done the hair just out of 2 shapes. I really hope that this piece doesn't get much more complicated than this, because I think that its minimalist qualities are some of its strengths. I would love to see a little hit on that chin though. Again, just so much fun from this piece by Anik. This is definitely the most narrative piece that we have going on. We know exactly what's going on for the character in this portrait. She is having an excellent night. And now we're starting to get some text images introduced. Russian me? So whoever she's talking onto the phone, whoever she's talking to on the phone is rushing her to get ready to go out, I think is the point. Getting these little pops of highlight here on the side of the hand, on the cell phone, on the collarbone of the character. Oh, I was wrong. Steven chose to add a background color, and I think that actually was the correct move, because he's bringing that green that's in the center of the eyes of this bird into the background and creating a more whole composition. Just finishing those final bits of texture in here. Steven looking relaxed in our final seconds.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, You can vote for your favorite artist from the first and second round now. Refer to the text link that you received when you came in. The auction is now open as well too. You can place bids for any painting that is in the competition. Refer to the text link.
Lots of very different art styles displayed in this round for sure, and actually quite a portrait heavy round. So I think that the audience is going to have a difficult time voting for which piece that they think is the best, but that's what you guys got to do. And you got to do it at the link that is on the screen, artbattle.com/AB2427. And you will vote for your favorite artists. The top 2 artists from round number 1 and round number 2 will be moving forward into a 4-artist final. So we're going to take a few minutes to count all of the votes as they come in, and in just a moment we will be announcing the finalists and who you will be seeing painting in that final showdown. So stay tuned. Round number 3, our final round for Art Battle Omaha, coming up very shortly.
Do y'all want to know who made it to the finals? Do y'all want to know who made it to the finals? All right. Nikki. She's in. Next we have Terrence Larkin. He's in. Then we have the wild card, Amir Stanfield. She's in. And last, Monique Clark in the building. All right, make some noise for the finalists. We're going to set tonight place, but go ahead and get your face and start starting the race. We're going to get started in just a bit.
Our artists who are moving on to the finals have just been announced. Moving forward from round number 1, Madeline Hake and Terrence Larkin. Madeline did that beautiful female portrait that was holding their hand underneath their chin, holding a cigarette. Very poignant piece, really gorgeous. Terrence Larkin created the piece that was the mantis incorporating graffiti, very cool as well. And from round number 2, moving forward, is Amia Stanfield with our gorgeous figure covered in that beautiful big purple hair, or pink hair, rather. And, of course, Anique Clark, who created this whimsical, humorous, narrative portrait of someone doing a face mask and smoking a blunt. Loved it. Okay, so these artists will be moving forward into the final, and we'll have another 20 minutes on the clock to go from blank canvas to masterpiece in front of your eyes. The top artist tonight, the winning artist, there can only be one, will be moving forward to the Omaha City Finals. So it's high stakes tonight, so if you haven't gotten registered to vote, make sure that you do so at the link that is on your screen, artbattle.com/AB2427. Final round coming up in just a few minutes. Our artists are starting to step up to the easels and get ready for the final round. Starting in just a few moments, we will have Madeline Hake, Terrence Lorcan, Mia Stanfield, and Anik Clark taking to the easels for the third and final round of Art Battle in Omaha.
Every 5 minutes we'll check in, and then the last seconds we'll count down. Questions up, artists? All right, so let's start the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, go! Feel free to walk around, take pictures, and go live.
Our final round is looking at her final round. Starting with the round, this is a strong artist, knockout intimidation for that point. With a little bit of
We have 15 minutes. We have 15 minutes
We are just about 5 minutes in. Here we are with Amia, and Amia looks like she is creating another portrait figure. We've got lots of round shapes going on right now. We've got kind of the crest of the hair taking up the majority of the composition at this point. So I'm wondering whether or not Amia is going to continue to make the hair of her portraits a focal point. I think that was the strategy that worked really, really well for her in her qualifying round with all of those gorgeous pink curls. And we can now see that Amaya is adding in some clothing as well. And over here with Anik, with another super emotive portrait. And this one, we already have the text component. It says Crybaby. So we're really getting the narrative from this piece already. We have our figure that is looking very emotional and very stylized with that same kind of line work and the exaggerated eyelashes and the bloodshot eyes. Again, we're seeing that Anik has chosen to tone the ground of the canvas and has got this kind of tan color underneath, this like light beige. And when an artist tones their canvas like that and kind of creates that ground of color, it becomes a lot easier to paint on top of because you kind of have a tone to build over top of. It's not quite as difficult to get warmth coming through and layering those colors over top, and it's also kind of knocking out the intimidation factor of that blank canvas. So Madeline Hake here, and Madeline has chosen a different strategy for this piece. We're going very zoomed in, big composition, going big and bold with this piece. And I think that is going to be a huge advantage to her and something that will be really thrilling to the crowd. Already we have a good establishment of eye contact from the portrait. Really great drawing ability already on display from Madeline. We can see that her proportions are definitely in line. Terrence going big and bold as well with this tiger. This piece is just screaming off of the canvas. We have tons of vibrancy here. I'm thrilled with this piece. I think that Terrence is a very serious contender in this final round here for sure. I also really like the way that he has that kind of lime green in the background. It's just really playing up that orange and setting it off. The line work in this is really fun as well. We can see that he's really rapidly just putting in that black line work, and it's got kind of a jittery quality, but in the exact right way that it's communicating this kind of epic, frantic energy. Really exciting piece from Terrence here. I think that the audience is really going to connect with this one. Back with Maya. And potentially going for a monochrome piece this round. We have a lot of black and white and gray tones going on. And I'm wondering whether or not the figure is wearing an earmuff, potentially, or if that's a hoop earring and a headband, or maybe some headphones, and this is going to go into musical territory. And maybe we'll get a little bit of an impression of what she's listening to. That's kind of my prediction for this piece. But we are halfway through the round now, and these artists have only 10 minutes remaining on the clock. So these guys have really established their concepts. Now is the time to continue to build all of those big elements and then eventually move into the smaller details. Looks like Anik is playing very well with this time. I think that she's managing her time really well. We have the majority of the character established. We're definitely getting into very stylized territory, which is something that I'm really, really enjoying from Anik. I like these lines and strands of hair that are coming off of this character as well. Just kind of adding to that sense of being just a little bit disheveled. And we have the green snot coming down from the nose as well. I really like that Anik is not afraid to be humorous and to kind of go just that little touch of grotesque, and it just makes it that much more interesting. And getting the addition of the hoops in there. Back with Madeline. Wow, this piece is coming together so wonderfully. I'm enjoying how there are elements that are quite soft and unsaturated in this piece, and then we have components that are giving us big contrasts, big color story with that warm and cool, with that bright orange and that hit of yellow, and then the little bits of teal that she's putting in now. It really creates that juxtaposition against the lighter tones that she has going on for the rest of the face. It creates almost like an atmospheric kind of quality. But I think the strength in this portrait is going to be entirely based in the eyes and how they connect to the audience. Right now she's doing a great job of rendering these, and in a portrait I often find, especially if it's a realist portrait, the best way to connect with the audience is with that catch light in the eye. And when I say catch light, what I mean is that little hit of highlight showing a little bit of gloss on the iris or the pupil of the painting, and it just really wakes everything up and helps it come alive. And we can see that already Madeline has got her little pop of highlight there, and I think that's why it's so easy to connect with this character right away. Back with Terrence. And this piece is so close to being finished. I know that Terrence has 7.5 minutes basically left on the timer, but this piece is so close to being done. My only fear at this point would be if it were to become overpainted. I think that that is something that is very difficult to control in art battle, because often we say that it's difficult to complete a piece in 20 minutes, and you would think that the major challenge is for artists to be able to finish on time. Often a challenge that the artist has is knowing when to stop, knowing when it is just perfect already. And I think that Terrence is nearing that area for this painting. We're veering into finished territory, at least for my taste. I'm really just loving the way that it is now, and I also think that that's going to be connective for the audience, because they're probably gathered around this piece as well, going like, oh, it's perfect now, just leave it. Still in this monochrome with Omaha. And looks like we're getting some introduction of some abstracted elements in the background, possibly representing an energy. And now she's working into the hair. It looks like she's bringing some texture in there as well with a sponge brush. We have 5 minutes remaining on the clock in our final round of Art Battle Omaha. So voting is now open, And you guys are faced with the tough choice of voting for which piece you think is best, which artist you think deserves to become a champion art battle artist and move forward into the Omaha City Finals. Only one person can win, and the winner of the Omaha City Finals will actually be moving forward into the Nationals taking place in Daytona Beach on April 1st. So the stakes are pretty high tonight. One artist will move forward to the regional final, and from that to nationals. So it's a really great way for these artists to continue to move up in the competition and gain larger and larger audiences, especially as they reach the national stage. Getting more text elements here from Anik, and it looks like we're also getting the addition of the cell phone. So our first character with Anik had that cell phone, and someone was rushing the character, and in this piece it looks like our character is being bullied. They're being told to grow up. Some really fun work from Anik here. We're having this, it's very playful but emotional at the same time. I think that Anik is doing a great job at kind of riding that edge of tension between the two. Once again, Madeline doing a fantastic job with this portrait. The addition of all of these unexpected colors just really creates this otherworldly kind of feeling from this portrait, and we have some slightly knit together eyebrows that are just kind of suggesting like a wistfulness. I think that this piece is going to be a very difficult one to beat. Only 3 minutes remaining on the clock. I wonder if we're going to get any more additional hits of color from Madeline. I'd love to see the suggestion of the sides of the face to kind of help ground everything. But at the same time, a point that I do like about this piece is that it has that ethereality, so maybe we don't need that grounding. I really enjoy the way that she's got all of these colors playing together, and has all of these cool and warm colors just butted up right against each other. It just creates that vibrating color sense. Back over with Terrence, and I'm so happy this piece is only continuing to get better. He's not overpainting it. We're definitely in that sweet spot. The addition of red in this piece is something that I wasn't anticipating, but I think is adding that additional layer of depth and just kind of underlining the sense of aggression and badassness that's coming from this tiger. I'm actually really digging that the eyes are blank. It gives it like an alien quality and also is a very stylized element that I appreciate. Back with Omaha here, and looks like we are getting some small hits of color into the background. We have just a little bit of yellow and red on either side of the figure. And I appreciate that she's left the face of this figure totally blank as well. Definitely a strong stylistic choice there. Leaves the viewer open to a lot of interpretation and gives the viewer the ability to kind of project onto the figure any feelings that they're having. We've got these hits of highlight in the hair now. And my favorite, those catch lights, those little hits of white in the eyes. And And Madeline just adding in her last points.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Versus down is Lord.
A very strong final round, so we'll have to see which artist rises to the top, and you will help us make that choice. All of these pieces are up to be voted upon at artbattle.com/AB2427, so make sure that you head over there and vote for your favorite artist. One artist will be the winner of the night and will be the Art Battle champion of tonight's event in Omaha. All of the works created tonight are also available for silent auction. You don't need to be in the room to collect any of these works. So if you've been falling in love as you've been watching them created live, you can collect them and have them in your home and have the memory of them being created there as well. We will be back with our winner announcement very, very shortly. Stay tuned to hear who won Art Battle Omaha. And make sure to get your votes in.
Somebody give me the drum roll. But first off, let's congratulate every participant tonight. Because doing something like this in front of all these people is nerve-wracking and a lot of anxiety. So, mad props, for getting out here and doing things of passion in front of people. Yes. So, listen, we're going to announce the winner. The winner advances to the city championships, which are going to be in March. And they will compete for a chance to go to nationals, which will be in Daytona Beach. Yeah, I know, right? Super dope. So, without further ado, let me get a drum roll. All right, your winner of our Battle 5 and head to the city championships is Madeline Hakey. Where you at? The auction will close in probably the next 5 minutes, so if you put these bids in, just stick around. You can leave with a paint tonight. Thanks a lot for coming to the boat out tonight. If this is your first time, don't make it the last. If you've been before, welcome back. We'll see you on March for the city championships. Thanks a lot, y'all.
Our winner has been announced. Thank you so much to all of our artists who painted tonight, but the winner of this evening is Madeline Hakey. Big congratulations to Madeline, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on the stream. Madeline will be moving forward to the Omaha City Finals taking place in March. Stay tuned to the Art Battle website to get exact dates, and we will be back on the stream soon in Ormond Beach next weekend. Thanks so much, everyone, and good night.